You also met Jane Fallon while you were a student. Yeah. Since then, who have you been in a relationship with? For 35 years. Yeah. No matter the situation, comedian Ricky Jerves has always broken the rules. Deeply infatuated. But now that he has spoken up on a deeply personal subject after decades of silence, everyone is talking. Why? Has he decided he doesn't want to marry his longtime girlfriend after all this time? Stay with us till we reveal what. Finally, Jerves showed it, and people were shocked and thrilled. The unlikely rise of Ricky Jerves. The southern English town of Reading was the site of Ricky Jerves' birth on June 25, 1961. He was raised in the Whitley suburb by working-class parents. In his Lawrence Gervais' father, Lawrence, was a French-Canadian who did manual labor and hod carrier jobs, while his mother, Eva, was an English housewife who raised their children. Ricky had 4 older siblings. Despite financial constraints, there was much mirth in the home. His formative years had an impact on his worldview. He was honest, grounded, and constantly prepared to challenge conventional wisdom. Gervais came to terms with his atheism when he was a preteen. He claimed that coming to terms with his lack of faith in God was an easy process. When he was little, he questioned his mom about why God didn't. Little ones pass away. She also warned him against raising such doubts. However, he still wasn't satisfied. Reason and facts, rather than religion, became his guiding principles thereafter. Later in life, his comedic work would incorporate this line of thinking, which frequently questions established norms and establishes new limits. Ricky attempted something entirely new before he became a well-known comedian. He and his friend Bill McRae founded the pop group Siona Dancing in the early 1980s, while he was a philosophy student at University College London. With the help of London Records, they put out a handful of singles. Even though one of them, More to Lose, didn't do well in the UK, it went on to become a smash in the Philippines. After the fact, Jerves, ever the self-assured, joked about it, claiming that he had a sneaking suspicion that pop music would fail to. That's where he'd become famous. When Ricky's musical career took a nosedive, he found work in broadcasting. He met Stephen Merchant, a recent college grad interning at XFM, a radio station in London, where he got a position. Everything changed after that meeting. Merchant immediately caught Jerves' eye, and the two struck up a collaboration. The Office, a mockumentary-style sitcom, was their joint creation. The Office was initially a solid block. The style was arid and clunky, drastically different from classic stand-up comedy from Britain. The actors didn't seem like they were acting. The filming style resembled a documentary, complete with awkward silences. However, it hit a sensitive spot when it was shown on the BBC in 2001. The show followed dazed and confused David Brett as he very slow office manager at paper company who is very self-absorbed. One of the most recognizable faces in British television history, Brett was played by none other than Jerves himself. Instantaneously, Jervis's life was altered by the triumph of The Office. It garnered praise, drew in devoted viewers, and created. People's perceptions of humor are changing. The greatest shock, though, came with the American adaptation of the show. Gervais kept coming up with fresh episodes that combined comedy and passion after The Office became popular. As Andy Millman, a struggling actor, he appeared in the film's extras. Among a group of famous people who frequently enjoyed making fun of themselves. The show delves into issues of self-discovery, fame, and disappointment. Gervais became famous for his comedic and tragic roles in shows like The Office. Derek, a deeply introspective storyline involving a gentle and unassuming man employed at a nursing facility. Although critics couldn't agree on whether it was overly emotional or just the right amount of touching, Many applauded Gervais for revealing his vulnerable side. Afterlife, a series about a husband grieving the loss of his wife, was released by him in 2019. It was humorously dark, honest, and emotional. Gervais proved once again that he could blend comedic elements with profound human situations in this Netflix smash hit. He received accolades for the 3 seasons it aired for its straightforward exploration of loss, despair, and the search for purpose after suffering a loss. In the next section, we will examine the positive and negative effects of Ricky's frank nature. The age of Ricky, when he donned no filters. When it comes to comedy, Ricky Jerves isn't shy. No matter how much he knows, he still says what's on his mind. It could be unpopular. Indeed, there are occasions when he speaks things with the intention of making others feel uneasy. That's just his character. Gervais has earned a reputation over the years for being forthright, unrepentant, and purposefully controversial. He declines, is unconcerned with maintaining political correctness, and shows little desire to play things safe. The idea that offense and harm are distinct is central to Gervais's worldview. His interviews and stand-up specials frequently touch on this topic. If someone feels insulted, it doesn't necessarily indicate they've been wounded, in his opinion. In an actual sense, offense is a subjective emotion, in his view. Feelings, not muscles, are involved. Nobody has the right to be immune to offense, according to Gervais. As long as others don't take offense, he thinks everyone should be able to say what's on their mind. Listened to with interest. He thinks that safeguarding people's right to free expression is more important than ensuring their emotional well-being. Gervais has always been against PC because of this. He interprets it as an attempt to silence people from expressing themselves, even if their opinions are valid, humorous, or significant. Political correctness, in his view, makes it more difficult to discuss serious topics because it seeks to clean up society too much. Gervais encourages people to stop being timid and start being honest, even when it hurts. He says this to comedians and everyone else. Difficult subjects, he believes, are the ones that really need conversation. Conflicts between Gervais and the public and media have occurred frequently throughout his career. His daring is well received by some, but severely criticized by others. Some have taken offense to his remarks concerning religion, gender, fame, and even death. There have been passionate arguments that he has also participated in. He frequently addresses his detractors head-on on Twitter and other social media platforms. Gervais, though, is unyielding. The force of humor, in his opinion, is diminished the moment one begins to apologize for jokes. Although he has never claimed to believe in God, Gervais is well known for his vehement criticism of religious institutions. He frequently makes fun of religious beliefs in his stand-up acts, and has been upfront about his lack of faith. Opinions on this vary greatly. Some find it courageous, while others find it rude. Gervais claims he has no malicious intent, just expressing his beliefs with a touch of humor. He claims to value people's faith, but he also wants the freedom to debate and critique it. Notoriety also comes from his penchant for slamming A-listers. No matter what, Jerry frequently goes after powerful people, making fun of their money, their hypocritical activism, or their inflated sense of self-importance. He now feels like an outcast in Hollywood because of this. He doesn't make an effort to blend in, despite being a part of that environment. The importance of honesty to him surpasses enjoying the company of others. Not everyone will share Gervais' views. Actually, he is opposed to that. He wishes for contemplation. He hopes that people will reflect on their reality, find humor in the ridiculous, and ask questions. That is the central theme of his comedic acts. When Ricky finally took the stage at the 2020 Golden Globes and totally shocked everyone, we'll take a look at that night. Tonight is the 2020 Global Globes event. With a stride of confidence, Ricky Jerves stepped onto the Los Angeles' Beverly Hilton Hotel to present the 77th Annual Golden Globe Awards. He claimed this would be his last appearance as host, and it was his fifth. It was obvious this wasn't going to be your ordinary awards ceremony the second he began to speak. Gervais had no intention of praising the famous people in the area or proceed with caution. Rather, he gave a speech that would shake Hollywood and the world. The opening speech by Gervais, which was just over 8 minutes long, set the tone for the whole event. He made fun of the influential persons in the room, difficult subjects, while openly making fun of the Hollywood aristocracy. The tone of the speech was stuffy and rude. It was direct, sharp, and utterly truthful. A well-publicized incident occurred when Gervais brought up the infamous businessman Jeffrey Epstein, who was detained for and ultimately passed away while incarcerated. Looking around the room, Gervais remarked, "I know he was your friend." The crowd responded with groans and nervous laughing. "Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care," he snapped back. It was a slap in the face to Hollywood's penchant for ignoring the actions of prominent men. Apple, Amazon, and Disney were among the major IT giants that he attacked. The morning show is a drama on Apple TV Plus that deals with professional ethics. Nonetheless, Gervais pointed out that Apple co-runs Chinese sweatshops. After that, he made fun of celebrities who put their beliefs into reality while working with unethical firms, sarcastically stating, "You say you're woke, but the companies you work for are unbelievable." This was an obvious attack on corporate virtue signaling in his view. When organizations or individuals make good intentions but fail to act on them. The night was defined by a phrase that he delivered towards the end of his speech, though. The famous people in the room were warned by Gervais, "You're in no position to lecture the public about anything," as he stared directly into the camera. He continued by saying that the majority of them had completed fewer years of formal education than climate activist Greta Thunberg. He later added, "Don't use it as a platform to make a political speech." The audience's reaction to the monologue was strong and quick. It was shocking to see so many famous people in the crowd. Uncomfortably, some of them laughed. Evidently, some people didn't think it was humorous. Evidently, Gervais was unconcerned. He went so far as to tell the crowd multiple times that he was indifferent. He was unconcerned about becoming unpopular or not invited back. Actually, he seemed genuinely happy to be presenting for the last time, as he mentioned it multiple times. There was global fan and media division after the concert. Criticisms of Gervais's harshness, rudeness, or lack of tact came from various quarters. Out of place. They thought he made jokes that were too extreme or trivialized important topics. Some said he was the only one among the powerful who would speak the truth, and they praised him for it. They looked forward to him because he exposed hypocrisy, even in a period when the general public's faith in the celebrity culture was beginning to fade. Videos of the speech quickly gained traction on video-sharing websites. Countless individuals viewed and disseminated the speech. Some thought it was a great critique of Hollywood's double standards. Some said it was the most necessary message the world had ever heard. Comedy aside, it sparked discussions on the power of public figures, the boundaries of PC, and the distinction between rhetoric and action in matters of morality. A number of times, Gervais has stated that he emphasizes honesty above efficiency. He was unwavering in his commitment that night. He wasn't playing for the audience's enjoyment. Protecting his career did not lead him to water down his message. Despite the potential consequences, he spoke his mind. He had. That's why, regardless of your feelings about him, his performance on that platform was greatly appreciated by many. There was more to the 2020 Golden Globes monologue than meets the eye. It conveyed its meaning clearly. one of the world's most influential groups was confronted by Ricky Jerves, prompting them to remember that they aren't immune to criticism. Yes, it was awkward, but it was also direct, incisive, and left a lasting impression. Contentious times involving Ricky. Ricky Jerves has made no secret of his penchant for stirring up trouble. Actually, he frequently appears to stroll right into it. No matter the setting, Jerves never holds back from expressing his opinions, whether it's on stage, in an interview, or, most importantly, on Twitter. As time has passed, this has sparked several public feuds, passionate arguments, and emotional reactions from admirers and detractors alike. Despite the chaos, there is a man who is vested in the freedom to express himself, regardless of the consequences. Tweets by Jerves are one of the most prominent examples of his forthright personality. He became an early member of the site, and swiftly amassed a massive following. Jerves, on the other hand, used social media more like a public diary than a promotional tool, in contrast to many celebrities. He frequently made news for his controversial jokes, debates, mockery, and challenges. He has tweeted everything from lengthy arguments supporting his stance on to scathing one-liners about issues of faith, expression, humor, and human rights. Activists and advocacy groups have been the targets of some of his most contentious online feuds. In particular, Jerves's remarks regarding gender and self-identification have caused friction with certain trans activists. Opponents have claimed he was transphobic or insensitive, citing his remarks and jokes that insult trans people. In reply, Jerves states that he is in favor of trans rights, but disagrees that comedians should be unable to joke about the subject. He is adamant that jokes regarding A is not an indication of bigotry or prejudice. As an active advocate for animal welfare and a fervent animal lover, Jerves's online feuds with animal rights adversaries are intriguing. He is quite active in the animal rights movement, often sharing articles and even donating to organizations that help animals. Activists who take offense to his comments about veganism, hunting, or meat eating have nonetheless criticized him. In response, Jerves frequently explains that one can have profound feelings for a subject while simultaneously finding humor in it. For him, comedy isn't a substitute for our empathy. Jerves seemed to be embracing the cancellation rather than trying to avoid the criticism. In interviews and stand-up performances, he has frequently made fun of cancel culture. He dismisses it as a contemporary type of censorship and is unconcerned about it. If getting canceled means standing up for free speech or expressing the truth, then Gervais says he'll wear it proudly. Cancel culture, in his opinion, frequently equates dissent with threat. That some people, with whom he disagrees vehemently, equate hearing a joke that is insulting with being physically attacked. Jerves fights for free speech in comedy, which has gotten him into a lot of trouble. Religion, politics, identity, death, and any other sensitive subject should be fair game for comedians, in his opinion. He contends that the moment you begin to create lists of taboo topics, the point of comedy is rendered moot. Jokes, in his perspective, are a socially acceptable means of coping with stressful situations. People become more defensive and less willing to have open discussions when they don't have that. There are others who share his view. The media has frequently. Several of Jerves's comedy peers have spoken out in his defense, despite criticisms leveled against him, such as being nasty, conceited, or out of touch. He has received acclaim for his honesty and the courage to push limits from notable figures such as Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle, and Jerry Seinfeld. They claim that Jerves is acting out the role of a comic by saying things that people are too scared to utter, despite the fact that it causes discomfort to others. Additionally, Gervais' private self is very different from his public persona. Some individuals perceive Gervais as aggressive or cruel, particularly those who focus solely on his problematic occasions. Those who have known him best, however, provide a radically different picture. Visual representation. Kind, generous, and incredibly loyal are words that friends and co-workers have used to characterize him. His profound sympathy, particularly for animals and those in need, is well known, and he is known to subtly assist charities and individuals behind the scenes. Jerves and his extended partner, Jane Fallon, has given a substantial amount of money to organizations that help animals and those in need of medical care. No matter how much they disagree with him, he still manages to speak positively about his supporters and communicate with them. While he maintains a biting sense of humor in interviews, he frequently adopts a more measured and reflective tone than his reputation could imply. This proves that Jerry is an honest guy who doesn't care about how popular he is. His intention is not to cause offense, but he will not put on an act or hold back in order to fit in. Laughter, debate, and even argumentation should be acceptable, in his opinion, in an atmosphere free from intimidation. Although he doesn't intend for his statements to cause controversy, Gervais views it as an inevitable consequence of being himself. Discover Jane Fallon. One individual has been discreetly observing Ricky Jerves while he is in the spotlight, whether it be on stage, in interviews, or even just trending on Twitter. During the course of 40 years, Fallon Jane. She is more than simply his boyfriend. Along with her many accomplishments, she is a highly accomplished woman in her own right. Jane Fallon has been there for Gervais through thick and thin, providing stability, support, and a voice, even if she avoids the limelight. Profound connection that has lasted the test of time. Tell me, Jane Fallon, please. One British author and TV producer is Jane Fallon. She worked on television for a long time, shaping some of the most successful shows in the UK, before she became famous for her novels, which sold millions of copies. Television series focusing on drama. Along with her work on This Life and Teachers, she was a producer on EastEnders, one of the longest-running soap operas in Britain. She launched a highly successful writing career after gaining expertise in storytelling and character development during her time on television. Jane Fallon has a long history of books that have been bestsellers. Getting Rid of Matthew, Faking Friends, Tell Me a Secret, and Worst Idea Ever are among her best-selling books. Relationships, treachery, and the complex turns of life are common themes in her novels. Additionally, they have been lauded for their wit, relatability, and sharpness. Jane has established her own reputation and following, in contrast to many famous couples who are always in the limelight. Many people have said that she is gifted, considerate, and genuine. Many times, Ricky Jerves has expressed his pride in her achievements and his affection for the fact that she has her own life and profession apart from him. They are mutually supportive, but they respect each other's independence in the workplace. Mutual respect is the foundation of this partnership. They started their story before they were famous, ages ago. Jane Fallon and Ricky Gervais first crossed paths in the early 1980s, when they were both undergraduates at UCL. While Jane focused on history, Ricky delved into philosophy. Their relationship started in 1982, and they haven't broken up since. What this indicates is that their friendship has endured for more than 4 decades, which is quite unusual in the entertainment industry. They have both stated that respecting one another's privacy is a key factor in the longevity of their relationship. They've always kept a low profile, never making headlines or being discussed in gossip publications. The specifics of their connection. They aren't trying to project an image of being a power couple or posting everything online. They choose to keep their relationship under wraps, and it appears to be serving them well. The fact that they have never tied the knot is something that many find surprising. Ricky and Jane have been together for 40 years, but they still don't want to tie the knot. Another thing that distinguishes them from many long-term couples is that they have stated their desire to never have children. They both understood early on that parenting wasn't going to be easy, according to Gervais. In their behalf, he has been forthright about his motives, stating that he is content with his independence and does not believe that starting a family would have improved his life. Without having children or getting married, Jane has also been supportive of this choice, and the two have created a rich, meaningful life together. The two had spent the better part of their lives sharing a London flat. Hampstead is a wealthy neighborhood in North London famous for its historic architecture and verdant parks, where they lived together for a long time. Their lifestyle is well suited to this tranquil environment. Low-key, cozy and detached from the mayhem that accompanies celebrity life. They share a home with their cherished cat and frequently share charming or humorous anecdotes about their peaceful existence on various social media platforms. They may not be very public about their relationship, but that doesn't mean they're trying to hide it. Ricky and Jane's relationship appears to be the most remarkable thing because of how steady and equitable it is. Public controversies, scandals, and the pursuit of celebrity do not exist. Despite their mutual regard for one another's autonomy, they clearly enjoy each other's company. With a shared sense of humor and mutual support, they encourage one another, and have the same outlook on freedom, love, and life in general. Jane Fallon has expressed her gratitude for a companion who brings daily laughter into her life. Plus, Ricky says Jane is his love of his life. Quite a bit. Without adhering to conventional norms, they manage to sustain a long-term relationship, and it is precisely their preference. The reasons Ricky has no intention of marrying Jane. Jane Fallon and Ricky Jerves have been a couple for more than 40 years. A lot of people look up to their pleasant, long-lasting relationship that they've formed in that time. Although they love each other deeply and lasting dedication, they've been rather forthright about their lack of interest in tying the knot. Marriage has no significance for them. They do not consider it necessary. They aren't rejecting one another with this choice, being a portrayal of their shared vision. In numerous interviews and live performances, Jerves has brought this up. His famous phrase is, "We don't need a certificate for our love." In his view, marriage is merely a religious or legal ritual, and does not constitute a genuine bond between two people. He thinks that a public ceremony or piece of paper can't replace the trust, respect, and daily choices that make up a strong partnership. This is also how Jane Fallon feels. She has always been forthright about her desire for an unconventional lifestyle. Starting on the first day of their Ricky and she had discussed the pros and cons of marriage and children, and they had come to the same conclusion. They resolved to give their whole attention to one another, to their jobs, and to doing what made them happy. Their partnership was built on that common ground of thought, and it has endured for many years without being officially recognized as husband and wife. They have philosophical as well as personal reasons. Because of their shared atheism, Ricky and Jane have different perspectives on important life decisions like marriage. Marriage holds a special place in many people's religious or transcendental behavior. That aspect of marriage is meaningless to Gervais and Fallon because they do not believe in a divine power or religious traditions. They claim they've never felt the need for a legal partnership, even though marriage is another option. In their own unique way, they have produced transcendental behavior. That aspect of marriage is meaningless to Gervais and Fallon because they do not believe in a divine power or religious traditions. They claim they've never felt the need for a legal partnership, even though marriage is another option. In their own unique way, they have produced loyalty rooted in an atmosphere of trust, autonomy, and common principles. Living together, supporting each other, making life decisions as a team, and obviously dedicated, they are a unit. Still, they aren't compelled to stick to the status quo. Jerves has gone so far as to joke that they are effectively married anyhow, with the exception of in a legal sense. He finds humor in seeing how others react to his decisions, particularly when they appear perplexed or uneasy. Jerves has made light of marriage in his stand-up comedy routines. While making fun of it, he has referred to it as waste of paper. When a couple chooses not to tie the knot, outsiders may question their relationship. He makes a serious point that people are expected to conform to societal norms even when those norms don't work for everyone, through humor. Freedom, not pressure, is the foundation of their relationship, he said, and that's why it works. Every day, they pick each other voluntarily, rather than in response to an obligation in a contract. That is the essence of their bond. The importance of honesty and independence has been highlighted by Jerves in multiple interviews. They are all given room to develop into people, and they never put any kind of restriction or control on each other. But that doesn't mean everyone shares their opinions. The pair has encountered traditionalists, those who hold the view that marriage is necessary for a committed relationship, on occasion throughout the years. Opponents of marriage have argued that staying single is preferable than committing to anything. Whenever anyone has questioned Jerves why they aren't ready to make it public, he has responded calmly and directly. Nobody needs them to prove anything. However, their strategy is admired by many fans. They use Ricky and Jane's romance as evidence that rules aren't necessary for love. They have maintained a close link without the necessity for marriage or children, which is unusual in a society where celebrity partnerships frequently end. People find inspiration in this type of relationship, since it is based on choice rather than duty. Changing attitudes in modern society are also reflected in the couple's decision. Living together in a committed relationship is becoming more common among today's youth, and many couples are opting to do the same. Avoid having a family. When it came to that, Jerves and Fallon were in the lead. Their decisions from decades ago have remained unchanged. They should do it because it reflects their authentic self, not because it's trendy. Their romance fails miserably in the end, simply because they did not care about following tradition, and instead created something genuine that did not require it. They have no intention of making a statement or persuading others to follow their example. They're simply being themselves, enjoying each other's company as much as they like. If you found this video enjoyable, please consider giving it a like, commenting, and subscribing for more introspective content.